Call the meeting to order. First item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Yeah. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, board members and members of the audience. Thank you for coming this evening. We appreciate your attendance. First item on our agenda is the adoption of an agenda. I need to motion to adopt the agenda, please.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on the agenda? All those in favor signify by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? We now have an agenda. The first item on our agenda is a public hearing on the 2013-2014 operating budget. And basically for the public hearing this evening, we have a sign-up sheet here, and I have several people who have signed up in advance, and what I will be doing is calling your name and asking you to come to the podium and stating your name and your address. I will also call the name of the next person in line in order to do that. At this point, we do not have a time limit on the public address, but we would ask that you be courteous of the speakers that have signed up and conscious of the topic that we're focused on. At this time, I'm going to begin. The first person signed up is John Barnes, and after Mr. Barnes is Kathy Duncan. I would like to also state that because this is a public hearing, the board will not respond to any of the comments this evening. We're just here to gather information from each and every speaker.
Okay. Good evening, Ms. Blackburn and board members. My name is John Barnes, and I drive Montgomery County School Bus number 6. Also, for my address, that would be Dunton Drive in Blacksburg. I've been driving the school bus for 10 years. Also, I'd like to, at this time, ask the other school bus drivers in attendance in the room to just quickly stand and greet the board. They're not all going to be able to come forward tonight, so they just wanted to greet the board quickly. Okay? And I'd like to ask that for this upcoming budget year that you fully fund the part-time incentive. I'm going to show an example using, I just picked pay level 8 on the bus driver pay scale. For this year, that is $66.98 per day times 180 school days, brings us to a yearly base of $12,056. Then going to add in the part-time incentive. I chose the medium level. There are 3 levels, which is going to be $4,600 per year. That brings us to $16,656. So if we were to eliminate the part-time incentive for this example level 8 bus driver, that would be a 27.6% reduction in their total compensation package. Now keep in mind, it is up to the employee whether they use the incentive as insurance, retirement, or as regular salary. That is their choice. But total reduction would be 27.6%. And I don't think we could expect any employee group to take this large of a reduction, but especially not the support staff, which are some of the lower paid employees in the MCPS. However, if we learn that the part-time incentive funds must be used to provide health care for employees, we then would ask that you distribute as much of it as possible that remains after purchasing the health insurance. Also, another concern about this is retaining quality employees. And we have many bus drivers I think we have several that are going to celebrate 40 years driving a bus at the end of this school year. And it's pretty much impossible to replace these veteran employees with a month of summer training on a new hire. It's not going to happen. So I'd like to thank you for your support of the bus drivers and aides, and also of all of the other support staff in Montgomery County Schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Kathy Duncan. After Ms. Duncan is Laura Wills.
Hello, my name is Kathy Duncan. I live at 1365 Christmas Mill Road, Christiansburg, Virginia. I have been driving a school bus. This will be my 26th year. I'm here representing Transportation Department and all of your part-time employees. This room is filled with your part-time employees, one of the pillars of our school system. If you didn't have us, then we wouldn't be able to continue on. We have bus drivers, bus aides, teacher aides, custodians, cafeteria workers, nurses, part-time teachers, and more. It's come to my attention, or our attention, that our incentive monies may be in jeopardy somewhat, and some of our extra hours could be in jeopardy. I've been working with the community-based instruction in Blacksburg for the past 12 years. There are also drivers that do this same program, along with special needs routes that have IEP requirements. We have vocational trips, field trips, and sporting trips. These all require extra hours, and many drivers work 2 jobs within the system. Also, we have drivers that will work other jobs outside the system in order to make ends meet. In order for our students to have the current services, it will be necessary for drivers to work over 30 hours. And I know that's going to be an issue in the next coming year, is the hours plus the incentive. An incentive is just that. It's an incentive for people to work to that 3-year point so that they can feel like they've done something to acquire something. And the incentive is for our insurance, for retirement. It's also for our savings or cost of living increases, and of course taxes. I feel that this should be our salary, considering the responsibility and the extremely valuable cargo that we have sitting directly behind us. The pay steps are gone, and after 21 years of service, there are no more steps. It's been at least 4 years since we had a last pay increase. Times are difficult. Cost of living increases, taxes increase, but our pay has stayed the same, and it may be decreased. So goes the morale of your employees, and maybe the loss of dedicated employees. Transportation has driver training year-round. It's difficult to find people that want to drive a school bus. I've had people look at me and say, "You do what?" I say, "I drive a school bus." And they go, "Ugh." So the training is expensive. The school system has to pay approximately $1,200 per trainee. To get that CDL, these people will get a CDL, and most of the time may work for that first week and then leave to go find another job that they can get a CDL, that they have the CDL already, so they'll go find something else and searching for other work. Some of the trainees will, however, stay in hopes to reach that 3-year mark where they can receive that incentive. The incentive has stabilized our department, and it's also stabilized some of the others. I love this job. To some, it's just a paycheck, but to me, it's a part of who I am. I left the banking ladder to go to drive a school bus so I could be with my children. My children have since graduated, 10 years and plus. So it's a pride of knowing that I can make a difference to a child, but it's also that I give 100% to what I do. It's a special meaning to me to run into someone that has ridden my bus in years past and say, "Hey, do you remember me? This is my child. This was my bus driver," she'll say, or he'll say. "She was the best that there was, or best there is now." The county is blessed with outstanding drivers. Experienced drivers are your best drivers. Quality drivers are your best drivers. As a parent, we all want to see someone that represents us in a good way. We want to see someone that's trusting and we can depend on, and know that our children are safe in their hands and that they'll get to school and back safely. I humbly ask that something be done and worked out for us with the incentive monies. And I humbly ask that the hours that we are eager to work will continue for us. Otherwise, Montgomery County Schools will lose valuable employees that have been committed to their work and the future of this school system. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Laura Wills. After Ms. Wills is Keisha Miller.
Good evening, School Board, Ms. Blackburn. My name is Laura Wills, and I live at 1472 Chrisman Mill Road in Christiansburg. and I've driven a bus for 8 years, and I love my job. I've been before you before, speaking on behalf of our incentive and behalf of my fellow employees. I, along with my fellow bus drivers and aides, am very concerned about the effect of the Affordable Health Care Law and the effect that it will have on our wages. I so appreciate what John and Kathy have brought before you, and it's my feelings also. I'm very proud of what I do. As Kathy said, people look at you and you do what? I wouldn't do that for anything, but it is for me and for my fellow bus drivers, you know, a very rewarding job. I personally drive more than 30 hours a week, as do many of the other drivers. Their field trips, special needs routes, vocational routes, ball trips, just to name a few things that give us the extra hours that we have. Some drivers do work other jobs. Some work in other capacities in our school system, in the cafeteria as lunch aides, or they work in between routes, work other jobs just to make ends meet. Our department could not operate without many of us working more than 30 hours. It would just be impossible. And we cannot afford to take a large cut in pay for a law that we have no control over, the healthcare law. Drivers and other part-time employees in many of our surrounding counties have had health care and retirement benefits for years. The full-time employees and teachers in Montgomery County won't see any decrease in their salaries for this. So it seems that the part-time employees are being penalized for this. The part-time employees are the foundation of our school system in many ways. School bus drivers take our kids to and from school, obviously. Our teachers' aides are a huge assistance. You know, our bus driving aides are vital to our department. Cafeteria workers, our nurses. We have highly qualified people in these positions, and without them, children will suffer. Our school system will suffer. Is it worth losing our part-time employees over a requirement that is not in our control? And as has been said before too, will we be able to find enough qualified and quality people to take care of our children the way that we that have experience are doing, and the ones of us that love our job. And there are a number of available full-time jobs in our area, and so what's going to be so appealing to get people to come and drive a bus? I do ask once again that you please consider funding the healthcare requirement, and please consider keeping our part-time incentive. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Keisha Miller. Excuse me. After Ms. Miller is Bob Badeau. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Ms. Blackburn, board members. My name is Keisha Miller. I live at 465 Wakeman Court here in Christiansburg. I am a school bus driver for the county and have been for 10 years. I currently came from another county where I had been a driver for a total of 17 years. The other county that I worked for, we had health insurance and other benefit packages, unlike with Montgomery County. However, I became a bus driver due to my small children. It was cheaper for me to find a job where I could take my children with them and raise them myself rather than have someone else raise them, and becoming a school bus driver made that possible for me. I now have my children still here in Montgomery County schools, and it's a lot easier for me to still be able to be a bus driver. I love my job. I've grown very attached to all of my children and their parents. And for the incentive bonus for me, if that wasn't there personally, as well as with a lot of other drivers, the incentive bonus alone being taken away would put a lot of us almost at poverty level for federal guidelines. You may not think it's a lot, personally, but as a driver it really is, especially if you've come to depend on that. When it comes to insurance, yes, the incentive was for that, for insurance or for retirement or whatever, or as to put in our pocket as we so chose to do. But as far as with the insurance, again, with our incentive bonus, if we take a part of it away from the part-time employees that don't make 30 hours to help everyone else along, then that's still cutting everybody else back. And then it's not really, I don't believe it's fair to a point, because if you have someone that's making 30 or 40 hours that could also already be capable of getting their own insurance because they're getting the incentive bonus as well, but if you take someone that's making 20, 25, 28 hours, they still fall short, but they're having to lose a part of their incentive bonus in order to compensate for everyone else. Like I said, I enjoy working for the county, but honestly, I don't know if it would be something that I could continue to do if I was to lose so much of my income to come out. And so in that aspect, I just hope you take everything into consideration and think about all of us as a whole instead of just as one set group. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Bob Bedos. I hope I said that correctly. Apologize if I missed it. And after is Kim Hara.
Okay, good evening. My name is Bob Baudo, and I too operate a school bus. Speaking tonight to inform you of some of the facts about our part-time employees and the importance of the part-time incentive program. First, let me say this, that when the Blacksburg High School gym collapsed, the part-time workers stepped up and sacrificed family time and personal time to make sure that our students had the least impact from that event. Many have been with the school system for 20 plus years. These are hard-working, dedicated employees who make our school system one of the best. Now, the understanding is that because of the Affordable Health Care Act, the school system wants to eliminate a part of or all of the part-time incentive. The part-time incentive has been approved every year for approximately 15 years. About 5 years into the incentive, the funds were given directly to the employees. Many at the time purchased health care, which they still have. Some put it towards retirement, savings, and others used it for everyday living expenses or just spent it. Now let's consider what happened to the economy. In 2009, we were in the largest recession, only second to the Great Depression. Fuel is doubled, food, clothing, utilities, health insurance have all gone up. Even the taxes in our county has increased at a record rate, yet the salaries have remained the same. Times have changed because of the economic downturn. Many of our workers are experiencing their older children and their families moving back in. Some have to support their elderly parents, and many need to work more than one job. Part-time workers, which number approximately 45% of the total workforce, are going to be expected to pay for their portion of health care that is mandated by the Affordable Care Act, but the school system pays for the health care for all full-time employees. Now, it doesn't seem fair, so what is fair? I really don't know, but fair would be everyone having a little skin in the game and not only the part-time workers. Fair would be looking over the budget once again. It couldn't hurt. And in closing, fair would be providing health care to part-time workers at no cost and letting them keep the incentive in full. Not only do they need it, they really deserve it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Kim Harap? Harap, okay, thank you. After Ms. Harap is Susan Miller.
My name is Kim Harriff. I live on 265 Overland Drive in Christiansburg. I drive a school bus in Blacksburg. Been driving for 8 years, and I'll be honest with you, I wasn't going to speak, but I'm in a position that I'm one of the employees that actually work 3 jobs. I have a husband that has muscle dystrophy. He can't work no more as of this past year. So I'm trying to make ends meet. If y'all pull anything away from us, to be honest with you, it's going to put me in a spot and other employees that are working more than one job. We'll have to find somewhere else. And I love my job. I could have brought y'all a stack of letters from my parents from high, middle, elementary, where I've drove their kids, and they've laminated them and everything and gave me such a high praise of, you know, how great jobs we do. And I'm just asking if we can just hold on because, you know, and not mess with the incentive or, you know, because I depend on that. No, I don't put it away for retirement. I don't put it away for insurance. I have to have it to meet my bills. So I'd ask if y'all would please think about, you know, not doing away with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Susan Miller.
Good evening, Ms. Blackburn and Wendell, Chair of the School Board and School Board members. My name is Susan Miller. I live at 3065 Mud Pike Road in Christiansburg. My husband and I work for Montgomery County Public Schools. Our children graduated from Montgomery County Public Schools, and I have a grandson who will be at Auburn Elementary School in 6 years. I'm speaking to you about something that concerns me deeply. I regret that I have not had a lot of time to prepare for this, as I've been traveling for the last week, plus I'm retired now too, and have just returned to town yesterday and found many voicemail messages on my phone asking for help. It seems in the new budget proposal that we are discussing tonight that middle school physical education at Blacksburg Middle School will be drastically changed in order to save money. Really? My understanding is that next year physical education will be offered at BMS for 2 days a week and alternating Fridays. Doing simple math, I discovered that our middle school students, or some configuration of 6th, 7th, and 8th grades, will be receiving physical education for approximately 90 hours over the 180 days of the entire school year. In looking at that requirement, that means 45 hours for health and 45 hours for physical education. The feeling is that parents will be signing up their children for recreational activities to supplement what should have occurred at school. In response to that, I can offer that participation in programs outside school is costly and generally requires transportation to and from a site. If the perception is that people in our area will put their children in recreational programs if they choose not to, then what happens to those students? And further, what happens to the students who are on free and reduced lunch and have no means to afford participation? Students who are not participating in recreational programs are not learning, exercising, or becoming fit, and cannot answer appropriate cognitive questions about health and physical education because they haven't received the instruction. In looking at the SOL for physical education, health education, and family life education, there are many. With the notes, I have what I'm saying as well as the SOLs for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade physical education, health education, and family life education. I want you to look at these and see if you can figure out how all of these could possibly be collapsed into approximately 90 hours during an academic year. 45 of those hours would be used for health instruction and 45 for physical education, because the state mandates that 50% of the instruction be for physical education and 50% for health education. Family life education falls within the auspices of health education. And also, family life is in part taught by the nurses. I have no idea how many students will be in these proposed classes, but we already face large classes of 40+ students. If the classes have more than 40 students in them, what is the expectation of what they will learn? What equipment is needed to support that instruction? Do we have the funding to teach a class fully equipped with 40 students in it? What academic classes have 40+ students in them? And are there chairs enough in the teaching space for health? What happens to the knowledge regarding efficient and effective movement and planning lifelong goals for activity and physical fitness? 20% of our students are athletes and will get the activity that they need, but what about the knowledge? Physical education also teaches biomechanical principles, analysis of skill and self and partner testing, detecting and correcting mechanical errors. A reminder, the Virginia Department of Education requires that all of the SOL must be taught. Physical education and health education are part of each day in schools. I just returned from our national convention in Charlotte, North Carolina, where the American Alliance for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance, AFERD, voted on and accepted new standards for learning in physical education. I came away with great excitement. One of the concepts that was discussed universally was physical literacy. We want all of our students to be physically literate. Being literate is a buzz term for sure, so that they can demonstrate their knowledge and discuss being physically adept at many skills and activities. This is a new concept for physical education in the United States, but one that has received great attention in Canada. Perhaps that should be a driving force in today's discussion, as I am not sure that anyone could ascertain physical literacy within 45 hours of instruction scattered over 180 days of school. More importantly, though, I worry for those students who will be left out of this learning situation. I worry for the levels of obesity, which are enormous in Montgomery County. I worry for the children who are learning at home that Twinkies and soda are acceptable items for supper or lunch or breakfast. And I praise the churches who are providing Micah's backpack for those who don't have adequate meals. I worry for the doctors and hospitals who will be treating another generation of children who will become more obese and more of a burden to those of us who pay for care. As a group and as a community, we must find a way to include middle school physical education and health education every day for our students who are on the cusp of becoming adults and who will still need instruction, experience, and physical education. Some comments that I quickly gleaned from current research. From Metzler in the most recent Joford, which is our professional magazine, April of 2013, objective measurements with accelerometers have indicated that 58% of children ages 6 to 11 years old and 98% of adolescents 12 to 19 years old do not meet the national recommendations. These results are particularly relevant given a dramatic increase in the numbers of youth who are overweight and obese. The American Heart Association and the CDC recommend that at least 50% of physical education class time be spent on what we call MVPA, which is moderate to vigorous physical activity. The CDC recently completed a review of 50 studies on the association between school-based physical activity, which includes physical education and academic behaviors and academic achievement. Of the 251 associations found between school-based physical activity and academic performance, 51% were positive and 2% were negative. There is substantial evidence to suggest that physical activity can affect cognitive skills, attitudes, and academic behavior, as well as help improve academic achievement, and that increasing or maintaining physical education time does not adversely affect academic performance. From John Rady's book entitled Spark, a neurokinesiologist from Harvard found that students with ADHD who were involved in activities challenging brain and body, boys 8 to 11 with ADHD, involving in martial arts and other cognitive and brain-body-based activities, finished their homework, were better prepared for class, improved their grades, broke fewer rules, and jumped out of their seats less. In short, they were better able to stay on task with activity. I am not the expert on physical education, but I am an expert on physical education who constantly plans, evaluates, and participates in fitness activities, monitoring my progress daily and weekly using the tools of the trade. I would like for our students to join me. I would like for you to join me. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes those who have signed up at this time. I will open it up to the audience, and if you would like to step forward and address this board on the 2013-2014 budget that's before us, I do so at this time. Seeing no one, this public address is now closed. Thank you all for your time and coming out this evening. The next item on our agenda is the agenda prep, and the next school board meeting will be on May the 7th, 2013, which again, we will discuss the operating budget, and the rest of the agenda items are available for you to view. And our May 14th meeting is also there, and a May 21st meeting. With that, I seek a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We're now adjourned. Thank you.